It is Easter Sunday, the 16th of April, 2017. I'm in front of the Unitarian Church of Montreal, engaged in my alternative spiritual practice of protesting against Unitarian Universalist injustices, abuses, and hypocrisy. And we've actually completed an hour of protest, and I think I'm going to wrap it up soon. We just got through 2 half-hour segments of video with a little gap in between, and so this is the beginning of heading into an hour and a half worth of video. And what we're looking at is the so-called wayside pulpit of the Unitarian Church of Montreal, which is essentially their church sign that has various sayings and so on it. It's very often a quote from a famous Unitarian Universalist. Sometimes it's a quote from a famous non-Unitarian Universalist. Someone, let's say, like Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. and that sort of thing. It's not the sign which identifies the Unitarian Church of Montreal. That's this sign here. So it's just a standalone sign that is intended primarily for sayings, but in this case, and it's been this way for quite some time now, it's displaying what I have every reason to believe is the official mission statement of the Unitarian Church of Montreal. And I have discussed this on several other occasions, but I think it doesn't hurt to repeat myself. Not everyone will have seen those previous analyses of this pretty worthless mission statement, really, when you think about it. And you do have to think about it a little bit. Let's look at it here. Our spiritual community welcomes, nurtures, inspires, challenges. Together we take action in the world. Well, that sounds all very, nice, fluffy bunny, good stuff and everything. But when you think about it for 5 seconds, if you got a little bit of intelligence, you might be struck by the fact that it doesn't say what the spiritual community known as the Unitarian Church of Montreal, say nothing of the larger Unitarian Universalist religious community, actually does welcome, or actually does nurture, or actually does inspire, or actually does challenge, or what kind of actions Montreal Unitarians take action, what actions they take in the world. What do they come together to do? And what do they do individually? I shouldn't have to point out that a whole bunch of bad stuff can be welcomed by the Unitarian Church of Montreal. A whole bunch of bad stuff could be nurtured by the Unitarian Church of Montreal. A whole bunch of bad stuff could be inspired by the Unitarian Church of Montreal. And the Unitarian Church of Montreal could inspire, it could challenge, quite a lot of good stuff. They could actually try to prevent good stuff. They could challenge good stuff, So together, Montreal's Unitarians can, and in fact do, take action in the world that is immoral, unethical, borderline criminal, actually criminal, and sometimes even batshit crazy. This mission statement is utterly meaningless because it has zero moral and ethical content. It just has a bunch of verbs and adjectives that aren't qualifying any specific behavior, any specific action. So unfortunately, there is no question whatsoever that some of the actions taken in the world by individual Montreal Unitarians, or by the Unitarian Church of Montreal as an institution, or indeed by the Unitarian Universalist Association as the representative institution of Unitarian Universalism in North America and to some extent the world, there are actions that they take that are immoral, unethical, criminal, borderline criminal, got that a little bit backwards, and yes, at times just totally insane, outrageous foolishness on the part of not just Montreal Unitarians, but the Unitarian Universalist Association and Unitarian Universalists more generally. So this mission statement is just wasted breath, wasted ink on paper. It really means nothing. Obviously Montreal Unitarians intend this to be very positive. Oh yes, we welcome good stuff, we nurture good stuff, we inspire good stuff, we challenge bad stuff, and together we take good action in the world. But unfortunately, they didn't throw those qualifying words in there. And so it leaves it open to being interpreted as, Montreal Unitarians welcome immoral, unethical, borderline criminal, actually criminal, and batshit crazy behavior on the part of its members. The Unitarian Church of Montreal nurtures immoral, unethical, borderline criminal, actually criminal, and batshit crazy behavior on the part of its members. The Unitarian Church of Montreal inspires immoral, unethical, borderline criminal, actually criminal, and batshit crazy member on the part of its members. And when it comes to what the Unitarian Church of Montreal challenges, well, it challenges good stuff like my protest against the immoral, unethical, borderline criminal, actually criminal, and quite frankly, batshit crazy behavior of not just Montreal Unitarians, but the Unitarian Universalist Association and a good number of other individual Unitarian Universalists. So together, Montreal Unitarians do in fact take action in the world that is immoral, that is unethical, that is borderline criminal, that is actually criminal. If you want an example of actually criminal behavior that I can attest to, well, I've had picket signs stolen by Montreal Unitarians. I've been physically assaulted by Unitarians in Montreal. So there's two criminal actions taken by Montreal Unitarians. Another criminal action taken by Montreal Unitarians, most ironically, is bringing false accusations against me in reports to the police in an effort to have me arrested or ticketed. Montreal Unitarians on several occasions have filed false reports with the police, falsely accusing me of assault, for instance, when I'd done absolutely no such thing, and on one occasion I'd actually been assaulted. One of the follow-ups to being assaulted by Margot Ellis in January of 2014 was about an hour later the police showed up, even though I hadn't called them, and they were saying that I had knocked a woman down in front of the church when I'd done absolutely no such thing. The exact opposite had happened. I'd been knocked to the ground by Margot Ellis with a body check worthy of a, Montreal Canadiens hockey player or a female rugby player or something like that. So this was an outright lie, which was trying to pretend, that I'd assaulted someone outside the Unitarian Church of Montreal, and that wasn't the first time I'd been falsely accused of assault in which Margot Ellis was implicated. Back in 2010, there was another false assault accusation made against me, and Margot Ellis was involved in that. So that's criminal behavior. I actually tried to have Margot Ellis charged not only for her assault on me, but also her public mischief of falsely accusing me of assault when I'd done absolutely no such thing. But unfortunately, I got a second-rate or even third-rate SPVM police detective handling the complaint, and they dismissed it. They pretended that they didn't have enough evidence. Even though I had video evidence of Margot Ellis assaulting me, even though I had video evidence of police officers suggesting that I'd knocked a woman outside the church and that they were there, not because I'd called them, but because someone at the Montreal Unitarian Church had called them. So this is clearly criminal behavior. The assault is no question criminal, and in other occasions Montreal Unitarians have actually been found guilty of assault against me. Kenneth Howard QC, I filed an assault complaint against him, and he basically copped a plea. So there's one where it was actually recognized by the court that I'd been assaulted. Oh, and had my picket sign stolen, because that assault was in the course of stealing my picket sign. So it was recognized by the Canadian justice system that the Queen's Counsel lawyer, Kenneth Howard QC, had not only stolen my picket signs, but had assaulted me. And this was clearly recognized. He copped a plea. He didn't go to jail, but he was subjected to what's called a non-judicial treatment for his criminal acts, which were clearly recognized as criminal acts. So it's most ironic, you know, that a Queen's Counsel lawyer of all people is, you know, one of those people who has taken action in the world of a criminal nature and has actually been shown, you know, has been basically, as I said, he essentially pleaded guilty and was subjected to non-judicial treatment for his criminal acts. This was recognized by the Canadian criminal justice system. You know, other crimes, you know, for whatever reason, you know, like the assault against me by Margot Ellis, wasn't prosecuted because of the laziness and incompetence of a certain SPVM police detective. So, you know, there's not much I can do about that when you get a second-rate or third-rate SPVM police officer handling your complaint and they do nothing. Well, you know, unfortunately it doesn't go to court and you're not able to absolutely prove your case. But I was knocked to the ground with a body check by Margot Ellis. It was not an accident. It was not, you know, it was deliberate. She looked right in my eyes before she did it. She barged into me with her elbows. No question it was an assault. And there's been other assaults on me by other Montreal Unitarians. And then the video's available. Just run a search on Margot Ellis in YouTube. Run a search on David Horan in YouTube. Run a search on Unitarian Universalist Feminazi in YouTube. And you'll see 3 assaults on me by 3 different Unitarians, 2 of them being Montreal Unitarians and one of them being, I believe, a Toronto Unitarian, or at least she was in Toronto for the Canadian Unitarian Council's annual general meeting some years ago. She, towards the end of our verbal altercation, assaulted me. And then, like Margot Ellis, she actually called the cops and tried to pretend, you know, that I'd done something to her, which was ridiculous. So anyway, the videos are all available. You can go look for them on YouTube if you want. You'll see Unitarian Universalists taking action in the world in a manner that is criminal. On that note, I think we're going to wrap up this Easter Sunday protest. As I said, I do have other things I want to do, and I think I've had a very good hour and a half-ish long protest. It's starting to rain, so that's another reason to wrap it up. So yeah, I think we're done for Easter Sunday 2017. That's it for now.